Welcome back to What You're Reading Wednesdays. Thanks for tuning in and spending time with us. Today, we're going to keep it simple. Audrey, what are you currently reading? What's it about, and why did you choose this book?
So I actually just finished a new book called Boyfriend Material. I actually got an advanced reader's copy of it, but I wanted to read it because it sounded like the new Red, White, and Royal Blue, which we've talked endlessly about. I will say it wasn't as good, but it was very cute, and I enjoyed it. Arnessa, what are you reading?
So I'm actually in a master's course right now. So a lot of my reading has to do with school. Yay me. But one of the books I'm reading for school is a textbook called Leadership. I'm taking a leadership class. So I've been reading a lot of leadership books for said class. So I do have this book. The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. Also, I'm reading a book called The Strong, Sensitive Boy. We've just kind of recently found out that my son seems to be highly sensitive. It's been eye-opening. So in the midst of going to school, I'm also trying to obviously learn how to be a better mom. So that's kind of what I've been kind of going through. What about you, Tori?
Right now I'm slowly making my way through Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. I'm sure everyone's heard of it because the movie came out recently. It's free to stream everywhere as far as I know, just because of the current times we're living in and have kind of always lived in. Like I said, I'm slowly making my way through it because for some reason I don't find myself with a lot of time to read anymore. I don't know why, but I chose it again because, just the state of the world, and I think the best way to learn is to read, so why not, learn while unlearning some things. So
I am reading Afterlife by Julia Alvarez. I picked this book because she's written several other books, and this is her first adult book that's been published since 2006. So I was a little curious as to, how is this one going to turn about? It's fiction. It's about a woman named Antonia who has just retired from teaching college English, and her husband is suddenly killed in a unexpected car accident. And then her elder sister, who they think maybe has a few little mental issues, goes missing. So she, and then an unexpected, undocumented teenager shows up pregnant at her doorstep. And so she is trying to deal with her grief, and yet with all these other issues that are going on, and she's wondering how much does she owe to these other people? Why isn't she the most important one? Why shouldn't she just take care of herself? And so that is what's going on in the story.
This book that I'm currently reading has my least favorite cover of all time. It's called Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. And Mary Roach is one of those popular science authors who's funny, she's clear, she's succinct. She's been a bestseller for tons of good reasons. So it's kind of fun to just read how cadavers are used, just in science and autopsies and all that good stuff. Lauren Wilkinson's American Spy. It's she's one of the few female spy fiction authors that came up, and this book was published a year or so ago. And it's set during the Cold War, and it's
time period.
Yes. I mean, the main character, it's her and her sister, and she's a spy, and she's writing to her kids, and it's, I've only done the first 2 chapters, but it starts with a bang, which I always like.
So I just finished listening to Jessica Simpson's new book, Open Book, on Libby. I honestly had kind of forgotten about her. I was a big fan, like in my preteen and teen years when she was big, early 2000s. And I really didn't know much about her life recently. And it was just, I was expecting it to be like a pretty light read, but then it really was kind of her diary through life. And, you know, she talked about her struggles with alcoholism, you know, just her resilience to get through the issues that she's dealt with in her life and to keep on keeping on.
So I am currently reading Check Please, Book 2, Sticks and Scones by Ngozi Ukazu. It's a graphic novel that was originally a webcomic. It's about a figure skater turned college player, Eric Biddle, aka Biddy, in his 4 years at Samwell College. There's humor, romance, and pie, and that's probably the reason why I'm reading it. It's super cute.
Mary, would you read another book by this author? Why or why not?
Since I'm enjoying this one quite a bit, I would like to read something else by her. She has 6 novels, and she's written some nonfiction, and she's also written some poetry, which I find interesting because part of the reason why I like the book is because it's so lyrical that it almost seems like you're reading poetry. It flows very nicely.
Yeah, I would. A coworker had said a year or 2 ago that she was planning on making another comic series, I think based on superheroes. But as far as I know, I haven't seen or heard anything about it. So I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah, Mary Roach has done a bunch of different books on different topics. Some I'm interested in, some I do not care about. She's done one on like ghosts in the afterlife and science, so you know, I might sneak in there. And I think her most recent one is on like the science of like what warfare does to the human body, which is interesting for sure. And then just to sneak it in here, American Spy is Lauren Wilkinson's first book, so I'm hoping she comes out with more, and I'm hoping she stays in my you know, interest zone. But she seems dynamic enough where she could do anything.
So I didn't realize until today, which makes me feel terrible, but Bryan Stevenson does have quite a few other books. And I know that Just Mercy was adapted for young adults as well. But I think I would seek out more of the stuff that he's written, because so far it's just been very succinct, and it makes me want to learn like what he's done for these people.
Yeah, I would definitely read another book by Jessica Simpson. I don't know that there would be one. This is kind of her diary, her memoir. But I would like to read more celebrity memoirs because, you know, you see one side of them and you have no idea who they are as a person, and they're real people. And I feel like I really like memoirs because the closer you are, like proximity to someone, and you really understand their life, the more you like them. So I just think that's really fun.
But Mariah Carey is also coming out with a new memoir, which I'm really interested to read as well. So she's coming out with a book.
Lori, share a favorite quote from the book, and why did it stand out to you?
All right, so the one I wrote down is, "We must reform a system of criminal justice that continues to treat people better if they are rich and guilty than if they are poor and innocent." And I don't really know that I need to explain why I think that quote is a good one. It's just, yeah.
Okay, this one's a little bit longer, but she has lost her husband. Her sister is missing. And behind these untimely losses, the timely ones, the whole flank of buffering elders, parents, tias, tios, who have died in the natural progression of things, but still, natural or not, they leave behind holes in the heart, places of leakage where Antonia feels the depletion of spirit, the slow bleed of chronic grieving.
Dang,
Wow.
that's deep.
I know, wow. I mean, I like that, you know, I mean, because once you lose someone, like I lost my father, I mean, it's almost 2 years. And I mean, yes, you go about your normal life and stuff, you know, but every once in a while, there's that little ping that just says, oh, he would just love this, or oh, you know,
Yeah.
this is something he would have been, you know. Yeah, so it's always there. It gets better, you know, as the time goes on, but still there. You still miss that person. There's still that little hole, that little leakage of stuff. So
this is actually by John C. Maxwell. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I would say for me, that was another quote that I got from this book. And I just really, that's always how I try to lead, is by caring about you guys, and caring about the people that I work with, and not so much about what I know, because you guys know that half the time I'll be like, I don't know that.
Aaron, does the cover art or title sway you to read a book? Why or why not?
Well, in this case, I can tell you that the cover nearly got me to not read it, because if people who know me know that I hate one part of the body, and that is the feet. They are the good Lord's mistake. Their hands at the bottom of your legs. I do not like them. And of course, stiff is a pair of feet. And I actually tried to find the hardcover version so I could just take the dust cover off. But of course, Barnes & Noble didn't have it. And, I wasn't willing to wait. So I picked it up anyway. But very close call, Mary Roach. It's a good thing I'm interested in your topic.
It's yes and no. I hate to say that a bad cover would sway me from reading a book, because I've read really great books that don't even have a cover yet. So I will say I am more drawn to a book if I've never heard of it, if it's got a pretty cover or an interesting cover.
I definitely am swayed by a attractive cover. I like art, so when they have these really nice artistic covers, I do like it.
There's an author I'm thinking of, Jeff Vandermeer, whose books, like every cover is so beautiful, and it just makes me want to read them.
I agree with everything you guys have said. The packaging, even in the grocery store, I'm drawn to stuff that's in cool packaging. So
Slightly partial though, because I really like titles. I'm definitely into titles more so, I guess, than the look of the book, so to speak. And I think it just comes from the kind of books I normally read. If I'm reading, definitely if I'm reading urban fiction.
Well, and I think a lot of authors don't have a lot of say in what the covers look like unless they're pretty popular authors. So then you think, okay, who's deciding what gets on what book and stuff?
Justine, what's next on your reading radar?
I can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous episode, but over the past few months, I've started listening to audio nonfiction biographies and memoirs. And so I plan on listening to Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah, Justine, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and, like I said, when I get time, after my 2 classes, we over in 2 weeks, thank goodness, I will start on this, The Highly Sensitive Child. I'll start on this book, and see what else it has to say, and in this new world that I live in.
Okay, so I have 2, even though it'll be a while till I get to them. But they're both new. The first one is Mexican Gothic.
Ooh.
That one.
By this one, The Prettiest Star, by Carter Sickles. This one is a queer novel by a queer author. I don't really know much else about it, except I think it's set in a time when HIV was still a huge threat.
I've got 2 as well. I just started listening to the audiobook So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijoma Oluo. The other one, I want to read Project 333, which is all about downsizing your closet, which COVID taught me I have way too much in my house.
Louise Erdrich, The Night Watchman. I read another one by her and I really enjoyed it. So that's what's on my next list.
Speaking of like pretty covers, there was one I just pulled off the shelf when we were in the library the other day, and it's called A Taste of Sage by Yafa Santos. And it has that classic or that contemporary romance illustrated type of cover that we see all the time now.
One called This Republic of Suffering, Death and the American Civil War, which it's obviously about death in the American Civil War. But the Civil War is when like mortuary science really started coming into its own. So it's, between like the cultural impacts of human loss on that scale and just the way that the deaf community kind of came out of it should be, dare I say it, interesting.
That about wraps up this episode of What You're Reading Wednesdays. Thanks again for joining us. As always, let us know if you have specific requests or topic ideas. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Stay well, stay home, stay curious. Take care. Bye-bye.